Assalamu alaikum. As COVID-19 spread around the world, a lot of schools, universities, higher education institutions, they turn into online learning to stop the spread of the virus. The United Nations report that there is more than 1.6 billion students around the world affected with this pandemic in 190 countries. Arab countries are no different. However, there is a unique thing about the Arab society. There is an ongoing social conversation about the effectiveness of online learning. And this conversation, it's not new, it's very old. And it's taken place among teachers, parents, families, and even school officials. Many parents are saying, online learning is not working, it's not effective. In this video, we will answer this critical question. Why online learning has very bad reputation in the Arab countries? If you want to know the answer, stick around. I have two great children in grade 7 and grade 12. This brings us to a very important fact. Many researchers agree on that online learning for primary schools or primary education, K to 12, is totally different than online learning for colleges and universities. Therefore, here are the key 8 reasons why online learning has a bad reputation in the Arab countries. Number 1, lack of planning. Many educational technologists in the Arab world point out that there are very few schools, especially K to 12 and some higher education institutions, they integrate digital education into their practices. The majority of the schools and some universities, or majority of the universities, they never included the transformation into digital education, and they considered the associated infrastructure needed to implement this approach. Because of that, during COVID-19 exposure, it was very hard for some schools to compete and they had to close down. Lack of real investment. Evidence shows there is a little to no investment in enabling online learning by many schools and universities and even governments sometimes. Many studies shows that the lack of investment can be attributed to the lack of understanding the global trends in education. And this is a big problem. Investment in educational technology are generally limited to smart whiteboards in the classroom and tablets to review textbooks and acknowledge content. Investment in an online education or online learning must include proper learning management system, 2D and 3D design tools that enhance the content delivery and knowledge and engage the student, as we will talk later. Lack of digital equality. The availability of digital devices, tablets, computers, and laptops are considered by far the most challenging issue or situation in online learning in developing countries. COVID-19 made the matter worse in the Arab countries. Let's face this fact. There are many families, they don't have the liberty of 2 or 3 computers. However, they have many kids, and these kids, they have to take turns into these computers. And that's why we're talking about digital equality. So what are the solutions for this? Many governments and authorities, they must find out the digital gap among the society and try to bridge the digital equality gap. A very linked point to the digital equality is that many educators, they did not consider the delivery of the content that they are developing for many different devices, depending on the families and what do they have. Do they have phones, smartphones, or tablets, or computers? So educators, they missed this issue, and that's what happened with the perception of online learning, saying that it's not effective. Lack of communication. There were evidence that there is a lot of lack of communication between the school, teachers, with parents, and even students during this period of COVID-19 and online learning. And that one of the reasons why online learning had a bad reputation among parents and families. Administrators and teachers, they must engage the students and their parents in a constant communication on what to expect and what are the requirements during this online learning period. Many documents like teaching plans, assessment methodologies, homework, methods of homework, it has to be communicated to parents and teachers in a proper and constant way. A very good way to communicate with parents and kids are videos made by teachers. This will enable the kids to know the teachers that they are teaching them and they know them very well, so it will improve the communication part of education. Lack of engagement with the students. Research and practice shows that the method we deliver the information or the documents during online learning is critical. As we talked before, teaching plans or lessons plans, assessments and tests and quizzes must be tailored for online learning. And if we don't do that, these documents or these methodologies, they lose credibility. Clear and simple and transparent instructions, it's essential for proper engagement and interactivity with the students and their parents. Lack of appropriate, effective content. We touched about this earlier. Proper content for online delivery is critical for having a better engaged students. It is very tempting for teachers, including myself, that to use PowerPoint or worksheets and just send it to students using emails or using a small LMS like Microsoft Teams, and then ask them to do it and upload it for grading. This is completely the wrong practice, and that's what turns off students and even parents. Online learning must be interactive and engaging, exactly like face-to-face education, even more. Otherwise, the learning experience will be dull. When teachers design online learning material, they must consider that maybe parents, they are not at home, especially what happened during COVID-19. So therefore, we need to design material that can be delivered with minimum supervision and minimum guidance from parents. And that's exactly what happened in most of the Arab countries. These materials, when they were delivered, they required proper guidance from parents, and that gave a very bad reputation to online learning. Using one program for design is another issue, it was noticed. When you use one program, that will give consistency to students and their parents when they use online learning. That will reduce confusion and ambiguity. The last reason we have today is lack of government direction and strategy. Governments around the Arab countries have no clear direction for online learning, even outside of COVID-19, especially for primary education or primary schools. Many governments around the Arab countries do not embrace online education as a legitimate path of education, and this is happening by disqualifying online college degrees. Conclusion thoughts. Online learning is a huge topic. We just scratched the surface. I intended in this video just to share with you from experience why online learning has bad reputation in the Arab countries. Like I said before, I have 2 kids, they went into primary schools. So I shared that experience, what I noticed, what I observed during the period of COVID-19. Arab countries must integrate online learning, especially for the primary schools, to catch up with the global trends in education. We also must embrace online education as a legitimate path for learning. We also must provide sufficient training, not only for students, it's for teachers and school officials in how to develop and design and deliver online content. I personally, as an academic and a parent, encourage online learning, but with the right tool, the right design, and the right delivery, and the right content. That's all I have to say today, but before I go, I want to ask you a question. How is your online learning experience in your country? Tell us about that in the comment section. If you learned something or two in this video, please like and share. And if you like to see other topics in this channel, please subscribe. Until I see you next time, Salam.